Okay, so this is round two against Marcus Vars in the far, and I have the white pieces in this round. So I play d4, and we get a Nimzo with queen c2, and then this move knight c6, which I haven't really seen before. I understand now that it is not the main line, of course, but it is a serious move that's being played reasonable amount. But I didn't really know what to do here, so I just tried to play pretty normal looking moves. Knight f3 felt like the most normal move of them all. And then d6, and I understood that the idea was to play for e5 here. And I played a pretty careless move, I think, bishop g5. Not really, it sort of felt like, okay, I'll play bishop g5, I'll play e3, then I'll play a3. No rush to do any of that. But here I realized after h6 that my intention of going bishop h4 is not so good because g5, g4 will come, and then my d4 pawn will hang. So, um, already I felt like I misplayed the opening. If I take on f6, queen takes f6, e3, that's like, I looked at this line, it's like, okay, I gave my dark square bishop for no reason. Probably I win his dark square bishop with a3, and it's just, pretty balanced position, but I wanted to try to play in a little bit more ambitious style, so I just sort of accepted, I'll play bishop d2. And I gave black h6, which should be helpful, but this still felt like the most testing way to play. Castles, a3, bishop takes, e5. My opponent is playing very quickly, all of these moves. Um, and e5, I understood that this was the idea, but I just took on c3 with the bishop, and now I have three pieces that can take on e5, and he only has two defenders. So I understood there was compensation. I was definitely considering other options than taking the pawn. I was considering d5. I was considering e3. Um, if I play e3, if he plays e4, I'll just play knight d2, then I'll play d5. The bishop's open, pawn on e4 might be overextended. But it sort of felt like, okay, the most critical line is just to take this pawn, and where's the compensation? And so I started calculating taking the pawn. Takes, 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 takes. Rook e8. And after rook e8, I saw I would have rook d1. The queen needs to go to e7. And the point of that is so then I can play e3, and on bishop, how's this working? On like bishop, I saw that on bishop f5, I want to meet this with bishop d3. And uh, if I don't have the rook on d1, then after takes, takes, there will be, I'll just show the line because it's kind of hard to see from this far away. So everything gets taken, rook e8. And then here, what I want to do is play bishop takes knight, queen takes, and then e3. But there's bishop f5, and if I play bishop d3, so let's show this line here, bishop f5, bishop d3, takes, takes, there's queen takes b2, which is not so good. Then I lose the pawn advantage, and I'm also, I can probably castle, and I'm not like that much worse, but why did I do this? So what I noticed is that here, after rook e8, I can throw in rook d1. And now, after queen e7, I can go for this e3. And if bishop f5 here, I would play bishop d3 and recapture with the rook. So this was what I was happy about finding. And this is what let me take everything, is because I saw this. And then here I was sort of thinking, like, why am I not just up a pawn? Like, I couldn't quite figure it out. And then he plays this move queen c6, and I sort of understand, like, okay, there's definitely some positional compensation here. Um, because this g pawn is hit by the queen, and it's very unclear how I'm supposed to develop around it. Um, Bishop e2 will hang the pawn always. If I try to play f3, my e3 pawn is hanging. Uh, I realized pretty quickly that this is going to be not easy to deal with. Here, though, maybe, um, I was thinking maybe like queen g5 would be a little bit. This is after the game, because in the game I didn't even see either move. I just thought, I don't understand. But queen g5 might be a little bit more testing because it also supports bishop f5, hits the pawn. But perhaps I would just be able to play g3. The queen on c6 is like pinning the pawn to the rook as well, which makes it even harder to unwind. So in the game, I just play rook g1, which is sort of accepting, like, this is gonna, there's positional compensation. That's what this move says. Like, there's positional compensation. It's going to take a while for me to unwind. I was always considering moves like playing b4, but it felt like I don't remember the exact move that made me not want to play this, but it felt like I was going to overextend the queenside if I did this, and like a5 would come and my king wouldn't be castled, and it could get bad really fast. Of course, the point is to be able to play b5 and get the queen off of this diagonal. Um, but I thought worst case, my opponent can play like b6 if I play b5, queen b7, and a6, open the rook. It's this pawn is going to be weak. So I didn't want to do that, but I did consider it for a while. Eventually, I settled on rook g1 and just said, okay, let's do your worst, right? So like bishop e6, I play bishop e2, rook d8. I just take it and play f3, and I'm unwinding. You know, if you give me time to play king f2 and rook d1, I will be up a pawn. And I sort of didn't understand how he was supposed uh, to stop that. I thought like he would play like queen c5. I would defend with king. He played queen d6, which is it hits this thing. I thought he'd do like queen c5. I would like play king f2, and then he'd like try to go to h5 and do something over there. Here we go, g3, which I thought was important because if I play h3, there's queen h2, and if I play, I mean, I don't even know what other move to consider here. So g3, queen c5 now, king f2, and now I thought maybe he could go to h5. I thought if he played like queen h5, h4 was one idea. But then I wasn't totally sure. Like if, like I looked at h4 there, and then after g5, maybe f4, and things get a little bit weird. Like if we look at this position, h4, g5, trying to open stuff, um, f4, and I don't know. It's like a weird position. Um, So I was thinking about that, and then the other move I was looking at was just king g2. I was leaning towards king g2 and just putting it on h1, but I wasn't totally sure what I was going to do. Instead, he played rook e8, sort of like x-raying the e3 pawn. I just played queen e4. It's kind of weird, like allowing all these discoveries, but the rook is hanging, so the only move with the bishop that makes any sense would be this one, which I wasn't worried about because I'm sort of going to the d4 square. That's like the idea. Queen e7. I would just play rook d1. c5, queen e5, b6. Here, it's like queen e7. Could I take this? I don't think so, but like maybe. I was worried about like if he took this or played like bishop d5. Um, but I don't know if there's mate. I didn't spend too long on it because I just didn't want to waste time calculating something I probably wasn't going to play. If I had more time though, maybe I would have looked a little bit harder at this. But rook d1 just felt like, okay, I'm up a pawn. Let's just get my pieces out. So c5, queen e5, b6, f4, right? I'm sort of getting my bishop out, building the dark square blockade. The light squares are, I have a bishop to protect on the light squares. f6, queen d6, queen f7. And here, it feels like I've unwound, you know? Like I have, I don't know, I have an extra pawn. It's on the e-file, so there's pressure against it, I guess, but I've sort of consolidated. And so if I just play b3, then I don't know, maybe like rook e7, but then I'll have like queen d8, and it just felt like I've done it, you know, I've done the hard work, and I felt that in the game. But then in one, like in a slip, I don't even know how to describe it really. I just played bishop f3 and I hang my c pawn. So it's like I just did all that work, right? I took the pawn. There was a lot of compensation for it. I slowly got out of the compensation. I unwound and I was up a pawn. And then probably in this one move, I throw it all away. It's still not easy. So I play bishop d5, takes with the queen. And then f5 I thought was important. I thought it was a nice move because if you allow me to play e4, then, you know, the rook in game, I have the open d file. I have central majority. I can get my king up to become more active. There's, you know, by having the d file, I'm significantly better in this endgame, I felt. So I thought f5 was important to not let me get this, not let me get king e3 and pawn on e4. Oops, apologies. Let's go back to where we just were. So I just play king f3. Now g3, g6, and every time this happens, I can force this king pawn endgame, which in this position I didn't see anything better than to do. I try the king pawn endgame. Takes, check. You have to block, otherwise you lose pawn, and I'll probably, you know, I'll press that one for sure. takes, e4. I think you have to take, otherwise e5 is just going to be winning king pawn endgame. So takes, king e6, and we get this position. Now, I would be very surprised if there was a win here, but it felt like with my king being more active, and I have, this probably isn't the best way to look at it, but I have two pawns, right, that haven't moved, which means that I have two tempi that I can control. He has one pawn that hasn't moved, which means he has one tempo that he has control over. So probably that's like not a good way to think about the king pawn endgame, but I was thinking about it with that in mind. I wasn't thinking I was winning by any means, but I was thinking like I have more active king and I have like sort of an extra tempo in reserve. So maybe maybe I can win this position. I play a4 to try to slow down this b5 nonsense. h5. I just play h3 here because I don't think that there's anything else that I can really do. Yeah, I just play h3, a6, g4, and then h4 is probably important, right? Because in a lot of lines, like if he takes and I recapture with a pawn, at some point I'll be able to play f5 check and then takes, king goes to f6, and then I'll run my king over here, and he'll be distracted by this pawn. I'll win something over here, and then I'll win the king pawn endgame. Oh, I should. But with the pawn on h4, somehow whenever I was doing that, he was like just in time to take on h3 and promote. So like let's just look at a sample line. And also keep in mind that in this king pawn game, we didn't have very much time. So it's very possible that I missed something that I should have been calculating but didn't. But let's just say we get here. Now, there's a couple ways to do this, right? Like he can play b5, or he can just start going. So let's just say b5, takes. This one I think am I fast enough here? No, not there, but here. Yeah, so not fast enough here. Here's a draw. We both queen. And if I wait, well that's all he needs, right? He has that. So anyway, the point is with h4, he always has this thing where he can run, take the h pawn, and I'm not fast enough. Whereas if he took, then there wouldn't be any pawns left on the king side after f5, and I should be just winning the king pawn game. So h4 I thought was a very, very critical move. And he played it with not that much time, so that was good for him. b3, just like sort of the only move that's left. b5, and here I play a5. And this is move 40, so this is my 40th move. He has a minute left to play his move. And I was sort of expecting like one of these pushes, but I wasn't sure how he was actually going to hold in that line because I was just going to bring my king over here. In the end, he plays king d6, and I don't know. So this is move 41, so I have some time to try to figure this out. But there's not many moves for me to really consider other than f5. If I play g5, like he always has these pushes here with c4 and b4. And when I play f5, which it's like kind of hard to see how this isn't just winning because if he takes this thing, then king takes. And if he goes c4, I take it, b4, king back to e4, and I'm in time to get back to b1, and I have this protected passed pawn. So taking is losing. And if he doesn't take, then I'm threatening this. So that's it's hard to see how he's holding on here. But I did see his move, and he did eventually find his move. It's unfortunate this is move 41 because it's possible that if this is move 40, he might not have seen it, and it could have been. Things obviously would have been different. But when I played in the opening, this bishop g5 move and then went back to d2, I could have had the same position one move before with pawn back on h7. So it's possible that one move difference could have made the difference. But anyway, f5, he plays the move g5, which I think it's the only move that holds. And then I just play king d3 and offer a draw because if I play f6, which is the only winning attempt in this position, then he goes king e6, f7, here, here. There's c4 here, and I have to take it, and then b4. And I think I lose now because, or at least I have to like play this queen endgame where he has the tempo, right? So the queen endgame goes like this. If this move here, he needs to start pushing the pawn because if he brings the king, I'll play king c4 and I'll win the king pawn game there. So he has to play b3. I have to now play c6. Although now actually king here, and I lose this. So that also would be lost. So then I don't even have that. So in that case, after uh, after here, I have to play king d4, but then king e6, king d3, king e5, and the idea is king c2, king d4, and on king b3, king c5, and I lose. So I think f6 just would lose, which meant that after g5, I just had to play king d3, and the game became drawn. So let's go take a look at this one. So we have this move knight c6 in the opening. Knight f3 or e3 are the playable moves. I play knight f3. Now bishop d2 is the main move, which, you know, it's unfortunate I didn't know this because I sort of figured it out, but I figured it out after playing bishop g5, which is not accurate because after h6, I just go back to d2. A slightly worse version because black having h6 is a little bit helpful. Castles, a3, takes. Apparently e5 is the best move, which is, I mean, my opponent just knew this somehow. It's probably the best move after the, without bishop g5 back to d2. Let's just take a look at that just so I can understand. Like here, if I play this move, then castles, a3, bishop takes, e5 here. No. I mean, maybe. Let's see if anyone played it. One person has played it, but that's very interesting that it's the best move after what I did, but not there, because that means that he actually just figured it out. E5 here. Very impressive. So correct is to take it many times. Takes, rook e8. Rook d1 is the only move, which I was happy to find. Queen e7 is the only move for him. And now, yes, taking the knight is correct. Queen takes e3. Okay, this is right. Now, here's my question. h4. Yeah, so h4, I was just scared about, I'm not actually going to bring the rook out that way, am I? What is the purpose of this move if he just develops naturally? h5, and like this move. Rook h4. So it is to bring it out this way. I'm bringing it out through h4. It felt very slow to me to do that, but I guess what I did here, rook g1 is probably not good. That's fine. Now rook d4, queen d3, all these moves are given. I guess there's just a lot of moves here. So rook g1 is not bad. It's just not the most accurate move. Bishop e6, bishop e2 here. And now I think I played the correct continuation with takes, and f3. f4 also playable, but f3 felt more natural. Queen g3, queen c5. Yeah, I was always looking at these queen c3 moves because, it felt nice to put the queen on a protected square. I was a little bit worried in the game if when I played here b5, which is correct. So black should definitely play b5. Yeah, I was thinking I would play like rook c1 there, but there might be an issue with that. Let's see what the issue is. Rook c1 is not good. He can take, and I'll take, and takes. And if I take it, there's rook d2 check. This is what, yeah, that would be bad. Okay, so I was worried about b5, but I didn't quite understand it. Luckily, he didn't either. Rook e8 didn't make sense. I thought that he should go like queen h5. Okay, rook e8. Here. Okay, now queen e7. Now I should take this pawn. It's just another pawn. Very interesting. Wow. Yeah, it just felt like there was some stuff going on, but I on bishop d5, I was sort of wondering if I could just like play queen b3, like here, bishop d5 move. Yeah, queen b3, or even queen takes a7, a third pawn. Yeah, I should have spent more time here, I guess. It just felt like not what I should be doing. So I just played rook d1, which is the second best move. Also advantage white, but it's just take it, I guess. It's like felt like I didn't deserve to be able to take it with my position, but I should just do it. Should just do it. Okay, rook d1, c5, queen d5, b6, f4, f6, queen d6 here, and now yeah, if I just played b3, I'm significantly better, like almost winning. But instead, I blunder the pawn, and now everything's equal. Very unfortunate. And this king pawn endgame is just equal. Let's see if there was ever a chance here. a4, h5, h3, a6 is the only move, but that makes sense. Here, oh, so he doesn't actually. Taking is fine actually somehow. Takes b5, yes. Takes. This is never working, I guess. Takes. King d6 though. Yeah, that was the move that's the idea I was missing. King d6. Now f6, king e6, f7. Takes, king, c4, king e6. It's not easy, but he does make it back right in time, and it's a draw. So that would have been a draw too. He just would have had to play a couple more critical moves. Instead, h4, b3, b5, a5, king d6 only move. So he did figure it out. And then f5, g5 only move. And now I have nothing. I just play king d3 and for draw. It's a dead position. f6. f6 doesn't lose. How not? Takes, d4, king d4, king e6, king d3, king e5, king c2, king d4. How is this? Oh, it's a stalemate. It's the stalemate. So I actually wouldn't lose. I do survive, but barely. I survived by stalemate with this. They're very fun construction there. Okay. But I didn't want to, there's no reason to do that. So we just make draw here. Okay, so good game, I would say. It's unfortunate that I just had this one lapse where I just didn't take a pawn and then immediately blundered right back to back. But yeah, I think that my opponent was well prepared in the opening. I was not really. I got uh, a, a a difficult position where he had some compensation for a pawn which he sacrificed. I unwound, uh, consolidated the pawn, had an opportunity to take a second pawn, didn't, and in the end, yeah, just like maybe a couple moves of just not playing the best move, and position becomes a draw. Had some interesting king pawn endgame, which was just a draw. So yeah, thanks for watching. That was round 2. Stay tuned for round 3, and I'll see you in that one.